والحسين ذلك لتعجيل فرج إمام زماننا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخالق الأجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين حبيبنا وحبيب إليه العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى طيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، ولا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، ولعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Assalamu alaikum to all the brothers and sisters. May inshallah Imam al-Zaman, Allah Azza wa Jal, have accepted our mourning for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And may inshallah these be the stepping stones of the coming of the Imam of our time. And may all of us inshallah be amongst his soldiers and his followers when he does come. Inshallah, the lecture today is again another continuation. There is, of course, from Medina to Karbala that Imam Hussein alayhi salam had gone. It took many days. Of course, from Medina to Karbala it's a long way, so a lot of things happened. A lot of them happened in Ashura, a lot of them happened in the night of Tasu'a, and so on and so forth. Inshallah, what we want to do is we want to continue some of the important points that the Imam had mentioned to his companions, and in large, he wanted these to stay for time for the companions that will come later on, which inshallah we are among them. The next point that Imam Ali salam wanted to mention to his companions was how easy it is, musibat, hardship for mu'mineen. Imam wanted them to understand if you are a true mu'min, musibat is not difficult for you. Now, a lot of these things that we say, brothers and sisters, they do lap one another. They are connected. They are a chain. They are of one another. It's very normal, because these are, of course, akhlaqi points. These are ethical points. And we could sit here and we could be around each other and we could mention, for example, other things and other important points. However, for Muharram, it's deemed appropriate to mention things that will wake our hearts and our souls up. Even though if some of the points we might even know, for example, we all knew yesterday where we said how dunya has no actual value and we should think about the akhirat, but it's bringing the attention to our day-to-day lives. This is what's important. It's a wake-up call for us. It's mu'izeh. And this is what it's supposed to be. History is supposed to be mu'izeh. One of the ayahs that we said in the first night, one of the ayahs that we mentioned in the first night, that why we should have the mourning of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is because history is mu'izeh. It is to remind ourselves about what things that we are not doing well so that we can better ourselves. It's a wake-up call. So, one of the things that is a wake-up call for us is that a mu'min, for them, musibat, hardship, is very easy. Now, if we have hardship in our lives today and it's not easy for us, it means we haven't reached, we're not a true mu'min. It should be easy for us even. Tonight being the night of Hazrat Qasim alayhi salam, when he says, Ahlam and asal, sweeter than honey, it's musibat what's going to happen to him. Shahadat is not easy. However, see, it's very easy for him. He's saying sweeter than honey. It's because he's reached this mu'min. He's a mu'min. He's a true mu'min. Now, the Imam here sending a letter to Muhammad ibn Hanifah, he mentions this. He says, وَأَمَّا بَعْدَ فَكَأَنَّ الدُّنْيَا لَمْ تَكُنْ وَكَأَنَّ الْآخِرَةِ لَمْ تَزَلْ وَالسَّلَامُ. He's showing the importance of the hereafter. He's showing that, listen, this dunya, it's going to end for a fact. And akhirat is coming. Akhirat is always there. Vassalam. He ends with Vassalam. If we want to translate it in some way that it would be deemed appropriate, is, and that's it. It's like a stamp at the end. Vassalam. And that's it. So it's showing that, listen, the reason that it's easy for a mu'min in musibat, because he knows that this dunya is going to end. That's why. He knows that something else is going to begin. We have hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam that this grave is the first of many houses that you will have in the akhirat, this grave. So we know that this is just the beginning. When we understand that this is just the beginning and it's not the whole entirety of our lives, it's just one section and a small section at that, we understand that, okay, then leaving this world becomes easy. This musibat becomes easy because we know it's a short time. Let's give an example. Whenever we want to give someone, for example, hope in a certain hardship, we say to them, listen, it's gonna be over. Just hold on just a bit longer. It's been many times. Let's, for example, just a simple example. We have a toothache and we have a cavity, and we go to the dentist. In that moment of time, we just say, oh, it's about to end. Just wait. Or we want an injection, for example. It's just a pain for a second. It's going to end. See, when it's limited, it's more easy to cope with that pain in that moment in time. However, when it becomes more fear is that I feel like it's going to stay forever. And that's how musibat is usually. Usually in the time where you're in musibat, where you're in hardship, it feels like you're in this hardship forever. Whether it be an economical issue, whether it be when you're ill, whether it be etc. So many different hardships that we can face. It feels as if it's forever. But when it ends, and after that hardship, that happiness comes because you faced something and now it's over and this happiness comes, you forget all about it. You feel as if that wasn't even long. Think about it in our own lives. We can have examples of this. For women especially, for example, the pain of labor, they've all experienced this. In that moment of time, it feels like it's a long time. I've been told. I haven't experienced myself. But however, when they say it feels like it's forever, whenever they want to give them hope, they say, listen, it's going to be over, it's going to be over. Just a bit longer. You need to hold on just a bit longer. And when a mu'min, a true mu'min understands, it's not about just hearing something. It's not about us just sitting around here and saying, listen, it's going to be over. No, truly understanding something for it to be dissolved in your heart, to be a part of you, that you truly know that this world is going to end and you're going to end. That's when musibat becomes easy for you. You think to yourself, okay, let me just handle this hardship. And inshallah we want to mention in the later on sayings of Abu Abdullah why it is important to hold on to these hardships and why hardship in its essence is important for us. Hardship is, in its essence, it's a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. Hardship is a gift. However, here Abu Abdullah al-Hussein sending a letter to Muhammad ibn Hanifah in that moment in time, and again this Hanifah is not that Hanifah of the, because this is in the time of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that's in the time of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, so it's different times, it's not the same one. This is, in other words, a brother of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. They're so close together. He's sending a letter to him, trying to explain that for a mu'min, for me, Abu Abdullah, which I am on the peak of Iman, it's very simple. Don't be worried about me. These things that unfold and you're hearing about them later on after I'm gone, this is Imam Hussein alayhi salam speaking to Ibn Hanifah. After I'm gone, don't think that I was in hardship. Yes, by face value, when you look at it, I was in hardship and it was very difficult. However, within me, in my heart, I knew that this is temporary and another world is awaiting for me that is eternal. And that's what's important. And because I have that, I'm calm, I'm relaxed. For me, it's easy. For Hazrat Qasim, it's easy. It's ahlam and asal. For Abu al-Fadl Abbas, it's easy. When they come to Abu al-Fadl Abbas and they say, listen, come to our army. You're one of us, come here. He sees this as a ridiculous request. He says, what? Do you think I would leave my brother Hussein? Even though he knows he's going to be shaheed. Even though these hardships he knows he's going to face. However, it's not hard for him. It's very simple, very easy choice. It's very easy. He sees it. He sees it. He has this ismat. He has this maqam. Even we as Muslims, we have ismat in some things. Just under, in brackets, I wanted to mention this. Brothers and sisters, even us, we have some ismat in some things. We won't commit certain sins. And that's a fact. But however, the ma'sumin are on the peak. And the ma'sumin alayhi salam, and the people, the awliyaullah, the people that have reached that peak, they can see sins for what they truly are. I can give an example, for example. It's haram to eat najasat. It's haram to eat, for example, manure. It's haram to eat all these things that are wastes, that are in different forms. It's haram to eat them. But however, none of us we don't even think about eating them. It's haram and we don't even think about it. And even if the opportunity comes and someone says, listen, come have this, we'd be disgusted. We won't even, it's not as if we weigh the two and we think, okay, well, should I or should I not? It's an instant no. For many of us, alcohol is the same thing. Inshallah, for all of us. Some people, they haven't even thought about drinking alcohol. It's the thought of it even disgusts them. They haven't even been peer pressured to have it. They think to themselves, what is this? All it does is makes my brain not work better. It makes me upset afterwards when I'm hungover, and then even in the time it doesn't taste nice. Even it has nothing good within it. A lot of people they have no feeling whatsoever to drink even one drop of it. This is ismat. Now the ma'sumin alayhi salam, they see that sin for what it truly is, and they're disgusted. And we have examples of this in the hadith. For example, qaybat. Qaybat is eating the dead body of your brother. That is what it truly is. If your eyes had the basirat and your eyes were open to what it actually entails in the hereafter, qaybat is exactly what it said in the riwayat. It's a statue of this. The statue of what you've done will be built in the akhirat. Call it tamassul in Arabic. It becomes tamassul for you. This certain sin that you've made. That's why we see in the riwayats, for example, a certain person, when they go to the akhirat, their face will look like a cow or a pig or so on and so forth. Is because that sin, this is what it looks like in the akhirat. Now the ma'sumin can see this for what it truly is. And they can see again good things for the light that it is. Inshallah, we want to mention this. So for namaz, for qira'at al-Quran, reading Quran, for so on and so forth that is good, they can see the light. Even some of us within us, there's a certain good thing, a good deed that we ourselves, we love doing because of the good feeling that it brings us afterwards. Whether it be helping the poor, whether it be helping the masjid, whether it be helping so on and so forth, good deeds, that helping out in the smallest thing, helping another brother out with their, studies, with financial issues, with their housework, whatever it may be. We have this good feeling afterwards. This is because it's a light. In its essence, it's light. And when you're doing this deed, the reaction you get from this deed is light. It is what it is. And this can answer so many other questions. For example, the question that they say, if Allah is so forgiving and He loves all His creation, why does He throw them in the hellfire? It's a big question, especially in the West. I've heard it many times. The answer is that the reaction to what you're doing is hellfire, not that Allah Azza wa Jal is throwing you in hellfire. This example is extremely important. For example, you say to your son or daughter, don't touch, for example, the hot oven. There's an oven and it's on and it's extremely hot. You've been baking and you say to them, listen, don't touch it, you'll be burnt. And then they don't listen to you. They go and touch the oven. The reaction from what they have done is that their fingers will be burnt. It's not you burning them. Touching this oven itself, what comes from this action that you've committed, is the burning of your hand. That's exactly what sin is. When you've, for example, lied, when you've done qibat, when you've done so on and so forth, the reaction from this is the fire, is so on and so forth that have been mentioned in the hadith. We mentioned, for example, qibat and others that are like it. The reaction from this is hellfire. So even this answers a kalami issue, a belief system issue that is for many people. Now coming back to the saying in hand, the saying that Abu Abdullah said, the letter that he sent Muhammad ibn Hanifah, that listen, for my companions that are true mu'mins, it's very easy. This musibat is very easy. This hardship that they're facing is extremely easy. They're enjoying it. Even some of them that are very high up, they're enjoying it. Like Hazrat Qasim where it says, Ahla min asal. For others like Abul Fadl Abbas, it's very easy for him to give a hand for Abu Abdullah. He's a true abd of Allah. He knows that this is the most important thing. He sees the light to stay with Abu Abdullah. So when he looks towards the other army and he sees there's nothing but darkness, why would he go on that side? He sees that there's nothing but najasat on that side and there's full of light on this side. So why would he leave? Now, a second for today, the second thing that we wanted to mention that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein has mentioned from Medina to Karbala, which is again related, brothers and sisters, they're all linked. It's a chain. And even if we look at them in terms of how Abu Abdullah has said them, they're all linked together. Their ideology. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is step by step, each stepping stone that he's building up to an ideology, the ideology of Islam, the ideology that he himself wants to leave before he leaves. The next one is forgetting Ma'ad. He says forgetting Ma'ad is the reason that you will go astray. Forgetting Ma'ad is the reason that you will go astray. So he says to Umar ibn Sa'd, وَيْلُكَ يَبْنَ السَّعَدِ أَمَّا تَتَّقِ اللَّهَ الَّذِي إِلَيْهِ الْمَعَادُكِ. He says to Umar ibn Sa'd, it's as if you've forgotten ma'ad. It's as if you don't know that you're going to die one day. You've forgotten that you will, and ma'ad, he hasn't said just that you will die, he said ma'ad. And there's a specific reason for this. He said, you're going to die is different to ma'ad. Ma'ad means you're going to go into the afterlife and you will be judged there. Ma'ad. Have you forgotten? And in other ones, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Didn't you know you come from Allah and you will go back to Allah? Have you forgotten these things? But there's reasons why they've forgotten these things. We won't mention them, inshallah. Now, if we truly look into our lives today, again, we want to all bring it back to our lives today. When we want to make a decision in our lives, how much do we actually think about, when I make this decision, how will it affect my afterlife? Am I even thinking about my afterlife while I'm doing these things? We mentioned this even yesterday, that what the difference, when you go towards dunya, the further away you are from the akhirat. However, this is from a different aspect of it. The aspect of this is that we're saying you will be judged one day on what you do, so be careful of what you're doing here. The one yesterday is about the love you have. We said the hub, the love, the connection you have to dunya. That's different. You could say that one's even a little bit higher, because that's a connection. However, here, you're thinking, listen, I'm making a business transaction every single time I make a certain action. Because I'm giving my time, I'm giving my effort, I'm giving my wealth. And what am I attaining from that? Am I attaining hellfire, or am I attaining a good hereafter, or what am I doing? For example, I'll give a certain money to make an orphanage, to make a masjid, to make so on and so forth. I've gave something very limited. I've gave money to an orphanage. I've gave money to a certain place. I've given limited money that will be gone anyway. And I'm not going to take all that money to the grave. That's a fact. However, I'm leaving something for myself that from days to days, from years, from centuries to come, I will get sawab from this. See, this is a business transaction. Al-mu'minu kayyiz, a mu'min is smart. If a mu'min is smart, they know that what they're doing for today. I remember one of my friends, they were selling pieces of land from between Najaf to Karbala, and Masjid-e-Imam wanted to buy a piece of land to have a mokib, to have one of these, a certain place, and build a proper, so it's not more of a tent, they wanted to build a proper house. So that the zuvar, the pilgrims that would go from Najaf to Karbala, they would stop at this certain place and everything would be there for them. Because obviously it's a 3-day walk and it's very difficult. Inshallah, all of us will have the liyagat, and inshallah, Imam Ali salam will grant us this wish that we'll go on the walking of Arba'een, inshallah, towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Recite salawat, inshallah. So they were selling pieces of land, and they were buying this land, and they asked the people in Jamkaran, whoever wants to contribute, come and contribute, pay some money so that that land will be in your name. So for example, they're going to split it in every meter, and they wanted to buy, 1,000 meters, 1,000 square feet, or I can't remember exactly how much they were going to buy, but they were going to split it into each meter, and they were going to say, okay, this person paid for it, and this person paid for it, so that you would be also in this sawab that Masjid-e-Imam wanted to have for the pilgrims of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You would also be a part of that, the sawab. And a lot of us didn't even think about it. We forgot it in that moment in time. However, because this older person, this person's grandmother, they were closer. See, they have this, sometimes older people, they have this attention that I'm going to die. And this is, by the way, the second lecture that we had about shaheeds. This is why shaheeds have a lot of attention, and their maqam rises really quickly, is because they have this attention that they're going to die. Because they know at any second I'm about to go. So they live a more modest life. They're thinking constantly about the afterlife. When you think about something a lot, you'll become of the same material. You'll become in the same wavelength. So when you become of akhirat, of course your spirituality rises. Because the hereafter world is in a higher level. It has higher intensity than the materialistic world does. The materialistic world is the lowest intensity. We have this in Islamic philosophy. The materialistic world is in the lowest of the intensity of existence itself. As you go higher in the intensity of existence, the closer you get to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the one higher than this is the world of the hereafter. So when you're thinking about it, your material, all your attention is towards that. Your iman is different, your actions are different. You become of the hereafter. Your existence has more intensity. Your actual existence. Now there's a lot of explanation that we have to give in this for it to sink in properly. However, your actual existence becomes more intensity, so spiritually you become more powerful. Now they were selling this land, and because this older woman, she was much older, she had this attention to having this sawab. And when we said, she wanted to buy loads of them. And we said, well, okay, we said, if you want to make sawab, why are you buying like so much? Or even a little bit will be enough, because in terms of economically, she wasn't that well off. But she said, listen, this is her response. Listen, this money that I have right now, I'm going to spend it on something else that will be gone in a week, in a day, whether it be foods, whether it be even jewelry, even whatever it may be. I want to spend as much money as I can on something that will last forever. I'm taking it to somewhere else that is not time limited. It's not bound by space and time. The intensity is higher, in our words. The intensity is higher. It has no time. It has no boundaries. It's extremely different. See, she's making a business transaction. And what a business transaction this is. It will last for the ages. The next point that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had said, and this is going to pierce the hearts of the brothers and sisters extremely, is that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein said a lot of, before they even martyred me, before they did shaheed, made me shaheed, they made me shaheed with their tongues for the things that they said to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. I wanted to save it up for later, for other lectures, but I feel like right now is the time to say it. The people that brought their swords above their heads to slash at Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, they were saying the zikr of Ya Allah when they were hitting Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. This hurts Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. They were doing this for the raza of Allah. This is what's extremely hard. The things that they were saying to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, they would say to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, you're only doing this because of power, because of making a hukumat for yourself, a government for yourself, and other things. Each of the ma'sumin heard so many of these piercings from people's tongues. And truly, our words, most of the time you could say, hurt more than physical beating. Something that we say with our tongues. Even the scar is left longer. Sometimes when you slash someone, for example, with a sword, it might be better, and even the mark will go away. But however, if you say something with your tongue, it will be left in their hearts for time to come. And even 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it will still be in their heads.
We have to be extremely careful about what we say. It's extremely important. What we say to each other, what we say to our loved ones, to our friends, it's extremely important. God forbid that we say something and they don't tell us about it, however it's hurt them extremely. Right there you've bought yourself hellfire. And this is something that a lot of people come and ask. Why is it that I have economical issues, for example? They come and ask. Why is it that, I don't know, this bad thing has happened in my life, or I don't have any barakat in my life anymore? One of the most important reasons which are in the ahadith is because you've broken a mu'min's heart. A mu'min's heart, according to ahadith, is higher than Kaaba. And breaking a mu'min's heart, it has consequences. It's not as if I've just said something and it's gone away. It's extremely important. Sometimes even in our friends group we might say something that might upset someone deeply and you don't even notice it. Sometimes, God forbid, we even mean it, but we want to say it to the person so that the person burns. We say a specific something to them. Oh, you know why? For example, let's say they've come to the majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and they're doing these things for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and they truly mean it. And we say to them, oh, I know why you're doing this, so that, for example, people see that you're doing this. And this might not even be at all in their heads. However, what you've said, and after they've done all of this, it burns them. It hurts them. And it sticks in their heads. Or you've done this, for example, for money. Or you've done this certain thing so that this person becomes happy at you, or this person sees you, or the community looks at you as a good person. By just saying this one thing, it will hurt them immensely. Even if it was true, it would still hurt them. And even if it was true, you've still committed a sin. Let alone if it wasn't true. And these things that they said to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, it hurt him much, much more than the hitting of swords and the shahada that they did to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Now, another point which was extremely important, recite salawat. I wanted to mention tonight is reaching, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein says, reaching maqamat, reaching these high levels of spirituality, is with having patience in hardships. This is extremely important. Now, in the nights before, I mentioned that Allah Azza wa Jal in this hadith of Mi'raj, the Mi'raj of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allah. The Prophet mentions, of course, that if Allah Azza wa Jal loves someone, He will give them musibat. To mu'mineen, gift is musibat. And we have an ayah in the Quran as well, brothers and sisters, know this, that Allah says, if I wasn't more afraid of the mu'mineen, I would give the kuffar so much, I would give them so much, that I can take all of it away in the hereafter. However, unfortunately, our iman and our belief will become less. We will think, oh, why are these kuffar having so much? But for a mu'min, a true mu'min, hardship is maqam. You can reach maqam by just having patience. Allahu yuhibbu sabirin. Allah loves the people that have patience. Because having patience is extremely hard. And brothers and sisters, for spiritual things, listen, it's extremely easy to sit down and read 100 rakat of prayer, of salat. It has a little bit of hardship, of course, but it's not extremely hard. It's not as if you've gone in and worked in for example, a mine. It's not extremely hard. To read one juz of Quran is not extremely hard. How long will it take? Truly, it's not extremely hard. It is sometimes hard for us, and if it is extremely hard for you, then we need to look in within ourselves and understand why. It's because it's a wake-up call for us if it's extremely hard for us to do these things. However, in a normal sense, it's not hard to perform prayer or to read Quran or to read Ziyarat Ashura. However, something that is extremely hard, much harder than this, is controlling ourselves and having patience in hardship, no matter how the form of the hardship is. Whether it be in the workplace because of some people saying something to me, I need to have patience and wait. Whether it be in my community, whether it be financially, whether it be a certain place that I'm stuck in and I can't get out. Different forms. You give yourselves the examples. It's extremely difficult in that moment to have patience. When someone says something that is not true about us, and it's tuhmat, to have patience, not to get angry and have any action that we want, but to have patience in that moment, it needs a true man. And that's what a definition of a man is, that Rasulullah has said. Someone that can control themselves. When they're angry, when they're upset, controlling your emotions. It's extremely important. Hardship comes in different forms. We have to understand this. And doing shukr in this hardship, not only will it bring your maqam even more, but it might bring your hardship to an end. I gave this example a couple of nights ago for one of the brothers. Sometimes when Allah Azza wa Jal gives us a certain barakat, and then between that barakat, between that thing that He's bestowed upon us, there's a big time lap until the second one, is because we haven't dissolved. It hasn't digested for us yet. I'll give an example, a physical example. When we eat a certain food and we haven't digested the food yet, and we eat another food on top, it'll rot in our bodies. It's not good for us. Health-wise, it's not good for us. Same thing in spirituality. When that certain thing has not dissolved, has not digested for you yet, for you to have, and you haven't thanked Allah, you haven't understood that this comes from Allah Azza wa Jal, Walaikum Assalam. It hasn't come for you yet, it hasn't digested for you yet, for Him to give you another barakat, it's not good for you. So sometimes Allah waits and doesn't give you that barakat in that moment in time, so that it can digest for you. And I said this to one of the brothers a few nights ago. There's a famous story, I'm sure many of you know it. A person comes to Imam Rida alayhi salam and says, I'm extremely poor and I need some money, I need some aid, I need some help. And Imam Rida alayhi salam says, here, and he gives him a bowl of grapes. And this man just looks at the grapes. I said, Yo, Imam Rida, I have financial issues, I have this many problems, I have this. Why are you giving me a bowl of grape? And the same time another man comes in. And he says to Imam Rida alayhi salam, I have financial issues. And Imam Rida alayhi salam takes one grape out of the bowl, one grape, and just gives it to the man. Here you go. This man thanks Imam Rida alayhi salam so much and looks up at the sky and he thanks Allah Azza wa Jal. Thank you for this barakat. Imam Rida alayhi salam with his own hands gave me a grape. And as soon as he heard this, Imam Rida alayhi salam gave him the whole bowl. And he looked so surprised. He said, thank you. Ya Imam Rida alayhi salam, he looked to the sky, he thanked Allah again. As soon as he said that, Imam Rida alayhi salam said, bring him some clothes. Allah, there's a few things that Imam Rida gives him. He keeps thanking Imam Rida alayhi salam and thanking Allah. Imam Abdullah gives him the next thing, and then he says, listen, go bring for example, the contract and the certificate of these lands that I have, these lands that I own, the lands full of grape trees, bring them for me so I can put it under his name. And he still thanks Allah and he thanks Imam Rida. And Imam Rida said, if I had more things, I would still give it to you, because you keep thanking. This is what's important. He has hardship, even with the smallest things he thanks Allah Azza wa Jal. He thanks Imam Rida alayhi salam. He's thankful. It digests for him fast. The faster it digests, the more Allah Azza wa Jal gives. Now this is not always the case. It's not always the case. Sometimes Allah Azza wa Jal gives us hardship because it's best for us. It's what's good for us at this moment in time. It's best for us in that moment in time. There's a riwayah that a person comes to Imam Hassan alayhi salam, salawat, and says, I want to go for a business transaction. Can you do, like, for example, I can't remember if it was istikhara, or he says, he asks for advice. If I'm not mistaken, it's istikhara. He asks for Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Imam Hassan says, listen, don't go for this business transaction. And he says, okay, and he leaves, and he thinks to himself at home, I know for a fact if I make this business transaction, it's going to be extremely good for me. I'm going to have this amount of money and the profit is extremely good. He doesn't listen to Imam Hassan alayhi salam. He goes and next morning does this business transaction. He does the transaction, and just how he thought, he made a lot of money out of it. And he was extremely happy, and he thought, why did Imam Hassan say I shouldn't go and it won't be a good thing and I will lose a lot of wealth? Because Imam Hassan alayhi salam said, you will lose a lot of wealth. He comes back to Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he says, listen, Ya Imam Hassan, you said to me don't do this and I will lose a lot of wealth, but I made a lot of wealth. And Imam Hassan smiles at him and says, when you went there, did your morning prayer, was it qadha because of this business transaction? Because you had to stay up so late and then you forgot, you couldn't wake up in the morning for your morning prayer? And he looks and he said, yes, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, yeah, of course, that happened to me. He said, all the wealth that you made is not even a little bit, not even a percentage of the worth of what you lost. Sometimes it's not good. Sometimes the thing that is best for us is to have that hardship in that time. Sometimes it's like this. Another person came to Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and asked the Prophet, can you please pray for me so that I would have wealth? And the Prophet said, I don't want to pray for you. Have the things you have now is good. And this person just had a few sheep and he was living in Medina. He only had a few sheep and he was a shepherd, but he wanted a big flock and he wanted to have more money. He said, why are you? And he kept on persisting to Rasulullah. He kept on saying, please pray for me. I know if you pray for me, for a fact Allah Azza wa Jal will grant me more wealth. And he kept on persisting, so Rasulullah prayed for him. And as he prayed for him, slowly his flock started to get bigger, and because it got bigger, he couldn't be in Medina. He used to, for every prayer, he used to come to Medina and he used to pray his prayers in Medina, behind Rasulullah. Every single prayer. But because his flock got bigger, he couldn't stay in that same place. He had to change, and it was just in the outskirts of Medina. So he would come every day, maybe one prayer or two prayers. And his flock got even bigger, and he had to move again a little bit more out of Medina because his flock was a lot bigger. And every other day he would come for a namaz. And he became so wealthy that he would only come for Jum'ah prayer. See this barakat, this materialistic thing that is good. But it caused him to not have the barakat of praying behind Rasulullah every single day, every single namaz. The problem is that we see our wealth only in these dinar and dirham and all these things, in this case pounds and euros and dollars. That's not wealth is in its essence. Wealth is in different forms. Wealth is knowledge. Wealth is good kids. Wealth is good parents. Wealth is many things. Wealth is being in a place where you have spirituality. Wealth is living next to the Imam. Wealth comes in different forms. This is what's extremely important. And what wealth did the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein gather in those last moments in Ashura? What wealth? Wealth that we're still speaking about it today. The wealth of shahadat. This is a wealth. This is mal. May inshallah we also be shaheed in the path of our Imam, and we would give our lives and our blood will be shed for our Imam. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat fina عليك مني جميع سلام الله أبدا وما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار فلا جعله الله الآخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. All together. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Beneath the swords of battle, a glorious moon is thirsting with a. All the companions of Abu Abdullah on the Zuhr of Ashura, they were so thirsty that not even a drop of water was in their mouths. I call help, Ya Hassan. Looking to his father Qasim, says, Ya Hassan, distress I am. Qasim his son, Baqi was shaken, horses trembled, Qasim's body in pieces crumbled. An answer to the call, Hussein's heart broken and shattered. On the night of Ashura, after the companions had all shown their determination and their sincerity, when Abu Abdullah tells all of them to leave, the purest stay with their Imam. Imam Hussein looks at his companions and he says, how will you face shahadat? فقال له القاسم بن أخي الحسن يا أما وأنا أقتل. Qasim asked his uncle, will I also taste shahadat? فأشفق عليه. Imam looks at him and asks, يا ابن أخي كيف موت عندك? How do you see death? Qasim replies with one sentence, Ya amma ahla min asan. Inshallah, we also say to our Imams, Ya Imam, being shaheed in your name is ahla min asal, sweeter than honey. أنا أبلو البلاء عظيما. This was hard for Imam to say, that you will have a death that is extremely hard. You will be irbana irba. You will be in pieces, Ya Qasim. It's difficult for Hussein. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. No death is but the death of Al-Hussein. Imam Hussein was also under the hooves of the horses. No death is like the death of Abu Abdullah. After everyone was gone, he had experienced every single manner of slash with the sword. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. سيعلم الذين أي منقلب ينقلبون باسمك الأعظم أجل الأكرم بك يا الله يا الله. It has been mentioned that one of the beloved ones in our jama'at, in our community, she's extremely sick. She needs your prayers, brothers and sisters. Her name is Maryam ibn Fatima, bint Fatima. So please may recite a salawat for her and hamd al-shafa, inshallah. May she, by the haqq of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, by these beautiful nights that we are in, and with your du'as, inshallah, with this majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, she be better, and she can also join in these majalis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. We don't know where she is, we don't even know where she's from. All that we know is that she's a mu'minah, and we should pray for her, and may inshallah with the grace of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein it be so. Qira'at salawat by Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. يا عباس الخيام، يا عباس الخيام، ربيت يا عباس الخيام، يا عباس الخيام. هدوا على حسين يا عباس جاوينك، هدوا على حسين يا عباس جاوينك. ترضى العدا اليوم يطعنون بحسينك، ترضى العدا اليوم يطعنون بحسينك. ظل وحده محتار ترى عتاد شفينك، ظل وحده محتار ترى عتاد شفينك. ظلمت يا عباس ضوى الريد من عينك، ظلمت يا عباس ضوى الريد من عينك. يا عباس الخيام، يا حال الحسين بلياك ظل حاير، يا حال الحسين بلياك ظل حاير، ظل يمشي ويدور ترى الجان ما داير، ظل يمشي ويدور ترى الجان ما داير، صاير بالحسين بإنسان ما صاير، صاير بالحسين بإنسان ما صاير، جسمه ولا ظل مهر بي ما عاثر، جسمه ولا ظل مهر بي ما عاثر. يا عباس الخيام، غرقان العيون والأرواح مفجوعة، غرقان العيون والأرواح مفجوعة، وين أمشي والقاع بالأجساد مزروعة، وين أمشي والقاع بالأجساد مزروعة، وقبال الحسين يسحقون بضلوعه، وقبال الحسين يسحقون بضلوعه، وانت بلا عين والجفوف مقطوعة، وانت بلا عين والجفوف مقطوعة. يا عباس الخيام، يا عباس الخيام، ربيت يا عباس الخيام، يا عباس الخيام. أفلحهم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. I repeat with me. أبا الفضل يا عباس، أبا الفضل يا عباس، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل. عباس في كربلاء ليث إلى الأعداء برز، في كربلاء ليث إلى الأعداء برز، في كربلاء ليث إلى الأعداء برز، يا ويلكم هذا أبو الفضل اغترب، في كربلاء ليث إلى الأعداء برز، في كربلاء ليث إلى الأعداء برز، يا ويلكم هذا أبو الفضل اقترب، قد بسمل الصمصام في يمناه إذ، قد بسمل الصمصام في يمناه إذ، فالسيف هذا فعله قتل العرب. أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل يا عباس، يا أبا أبا الفضل، في كربلاء ليث إلى الأعداء برز، يا ويلكم هذا أبو الفضل اقترب، قد بسمل الصمصام في يمناه إذ، فالسيف هذا فعله قتل العرب، ما ميزوا الفقار هذا في علي، أم يا ترى هذا العباس فيهم ضرب، ما ميزوا الفقار هذا في علي، أم يا ترى العباس فيهم قد ضرب، إذ قال فيهم إنني من هاشم، إني أنا العباس للصولات رب، إذ قال فيهم إنني من هاشم، إني أنا العباس للصولات رب. أبا الفضل يا عباس، أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، أبا طحنا بهم مثل الرحى في كربلاء، والموت في أمري وذا الطف طرام، طحنا بهم مثل الرحى في كربلاء، والموت في أمري وذا الطف طرام، كفه قد ملكت ماء الفرات، وكفه قد ملكت ماء الفرات، ذل ماء النهر حتما وما شرب، في نظرة صيرتهم مثل الذي لا قادما نحوي ولا بعدا هرب. أبا الفضل، أبا الفضل، يا عب يا كربلاء 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 أتمنى عيشا حدر ذر خيمتك أتمنى عيشا حدر ذر خيمتك لو هالمحرم تحترق دوا جروحي تحس بالهضيمة إلا بحوافر تنسحق يا كربلاء يا كربلاء يا كربلاء يا كربلاء يا كربلاء يا كربلاء صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
أحسنت brother. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا رحمن يا رحيم إلهي عظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء وانكشف الغطاء وانقطع الرجاء وضاقت الأرض ومنعت السماء وأنت المستعان وإليك المشتكى وعليك المعول في الشدة والرخاء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أولي الأمر الذين فرضت علينا طاعتهم وعرفتنا بذلك منزلتهم ففرج عنا بحقهم فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر وهو أقرب. يا محمد يا علي يا علي يا محمد. repeat. اكفياني فإنكما كافيان وانصراني فإنكما ناصران. يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان الغاث 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 أدركني 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 الساعة. الأجل الأجل الأجل. يا أرحم الراحمين صل على محمد وآله الطاهرين صلوات. I had a telephone call earlier tonight from one of the four families in Iran. They have two daughters, both married, one of them with two children. Unfortunately, they have some problems family-wise. The parents was asking me, they had iltimas dua. They said, our only hope is these occasions, especially tonight, tomorrow, Qasim ibn al-Hassan, tomorrow, Hazrat Ali Akbar. Inshallah, remember all of them, all of those who are ill, all over the world. And remember them, inshallah, we will make dua at the end of program as well. Make another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Do not forget, especially, to make dua for the youth, especially tonight and tomorrow night. Make another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. داماد کربلا در خون تپیده، داماد کربلا در خون تپیده، رخت دامادیش بر تن ندیده، نقلش سوده سنگ از خون شده رنگ، یا صاحب الزمان عجل ظهورک، یا صاحب یا صاحب در هجلگاه خون خوابیده قاسم، در هجلگاه خون خوابیده قاسم، شهد از کف اجل نوشیده قاسم، در خاک و در خون گردیده گلگون، یا صاحب عجل ظهورک، یا عمو جانم، عمو جانم، عمو جانم، عمو جانم، عمو جانم. Everybody, louder please. در راه تو دلم زد خنده بر اجل، مرگی چنین بود احلا من العسل، در راه تو دلم زد خنده بر اجل، مرگی چنین بود احلا من العسل، احلا من العسل. شد زمان رفتن من، می رود جان از تن من، سربازی نوجوانم، بنگر مرد میدانم، شد قربان تو جانم، عمو جانم. Everybody, ماشاءالله. عمو جانم، عمو در بین خاک و خون دارم به تن نشان، از نعل مرکب و شمشیر دشمنان، یاس جسمم گشته گلگون، افتاده در موجی از خون. آه دارم آهی آتشین، از درد ای عمو ببین، پا می کشم بر زمین، عمو جانم، عمو جانم، عمو جانم، عمو جانم، عمو جانم. این سو تو خیره ای با گریه سوی من، آن سو زند پدر خنده به روی من، میروم من سوی بابا، سرمستم از بوی بابا، ای عمو با برادرت، میروم من از برات سوی زهرا مادرت، عمو با برادرت، میروم من از برت سوی زهرا مادرت. عمو جانم عمو گشت خونین کفن، گشت خونین کفن، گشت خونین کفن، آن گل یاسمن، نوگل فاطمه قاسم ابن الحسن، نوگل فاطمه قاسم ابن الحسن. آه و ویلتا، آه و ویلتا، آه و سنگین لتا، آه و گشت خونین کفن، آن گل یاسمن، نوگل فاطمه قاسم ابن الحسن. واه و ویلتا، آه و ویلتا، آه و شده غرق به خون، شده غرق به خون همه اعضای من، ای عمو جان شکست استخوان‌های من. آه و ویلتا، آه دشمن از هر طرف، دشمن از هر طرف راهو بر من ببست، کن نظر ای عمو پر و بالم شکست، پر و بالم شکست. آه و آه و یا حسین سار الله، یا ابا عبدالله، یا حسین جانمو 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 جان، جانمو 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 جان. This is the last one. جانمو 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 جان، جانمو 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 جان، جانمو. ای اولان فخر اولاد یاسین، ای اولان فخر اولاد یاسین، خارولا قاسمون قویما یاسین، خارولا قاسمون قویما یاسین. گل منی یخدی اشرارمو جان، گل منی یخدی اشرارمو جان، قاسمون جان verur canamı can, canamı 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 can. Nazimi sen çekipten ezelden, vermerem damenün günde elden. Sen güzelsen bana her güzelden, sen güzelsen bana her güzelden. Sen eşkimde mi yaremu can, canemu 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 can, can. Sen ehli sıfat-ı kerime, sen ehli sıfat-ı kerime, baş çekersen esire yetime. Gel dua ver bu zebhe asime, men esire gli saremu can, esire gli saremu can, canemu 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 can, canemu 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 can. تو میان خیمه هستی من به زیر دست و پا تو میان خیمه هستی من به زیر دست و پا ای عمو جانم بیا ای عمو جانم بیا تو میان خیمه هستی من به زیر دست و پا تو میان خیمه هستی من به زیر دست و پا ای عمو جانم بیا ای عمو جانم بیا تیر و باران شد تنم همچون امام مجتبی تیر باران شد تنم همچون امام مجتبی ای عمو جانم بیا ای عمو جانم بیا تو میان خیمه هستی من به زیر دست و پا تو میان خیمه هستی من به زیر دست و پا ای عمو جانم بیا ای عمو جانم بیا تیر و باران شد تنم همچون امام مجتبی ای عمو جانم بیا ای عمو جانم بیا حسین 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 حسین
محمد يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين
अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं कैसे ये चरागा दिल डूबे जा रहे हैं क्या शाम हुआ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं नेज़ों पे जितने सर हैं एक असर है उनमें ऐसा आंखें बंद है उसकी और खाक पर है गिरता आवाज का ये सर है तेवर बता रहे हैं क्या शाम हुआ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं होन लगी अजाने कैसे सरों को डांपे बाजू बंधे हुए हैं खून रो रहे हैं आंखें आंखें से करसते खून में नहा रहे हैं क्या शाम हुआ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं माँओं की गोदियों से लिपटे हुए बच्चे हैं हाथ रस्सियों में पाँव से ऐसे जकड़े बच्चे जो गिर रहे हैं वो मरते जा रहे हैं क्या शाम हुआ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं लोग किस तरह के हमसे दुआ कराएं ऐ गदियों दुआ दो ये दिन नाम पे आए लेकर दुआएं हमसे दिल भी दुखा रहे हैं क्या शाम हुआ गया है अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं सलावत
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد مظلوم حسين جانا. repeat. مظلوم حسين جانا. مظلوم حسين جانا. مظلوم حسين جانا. قسما بالله داحي الأرض خلاق السماوات وبما جاء به جبريل من وحي وآيات أنادي بكرامة إلى يوم القيامة سأذوق الموت بالعز ولا للذل هيهات. أجرس خنجر خنريز لبي تشنب برد سرمرة أجرس تيك شكافا دارين أرسي خون جيجرمرة أجرس تيرس شعبه بدهندا ببازشي قولينو سمرمرة أجرس داق برادر شجنت خصم ستمجر كمرمرة. مظلوم حسين جانا. مظلوم حسين جانا. مظلوم حسين جانا. مظلوم حسين جانا. قتيل العبرات أسير الكربات أوهل تكتب أحزاني في الطف بحبر ودوات أبدا فالحزن لا يكتب إلا بالدموع الجاريات. أجرس چار طرف خسب زند برچی گرم تیر اگرایت بسرو کتف و تنم ضربت شمشیر اگرس سنگ شود غرق بخون روی منیران اگر آتش عوض آب دهد خصم شریران اگر از داغ بسر سوز موسد بار بمیران ظلموني قتلوني وتناسوا من أنا صارت الآلام في أرض الأساني وطنا كل ما مر على الكون من الأحزان قد مر هنا بخدایی کمرا خواست بی پیکر سجاک ببینه بتنم زخم دوست نیزه و شمشیر نشینه بستمگر ندهم دست مزلت نبذیرم اگرارم بیجه جنگم همیه اهل زمین را و سمارا مظلوم حسین جانم مظلوم حسین جانم مظلوم حسین جانم مظلوم حسین جانم منم و عهد علستم نگسستم نشکستم به خدا غیر خدا را نپرستم به خدا غیر برابا مدرستم به خدا من پسر شیر خدا و پسر فاطمه هستم عربی علوی قرشی شجری احدی بدری فاطمی قمری همی دار و ندارم همی هفتاد و دویارم بفدای رهی جانان منمو شرخی رویم منمو خون گلویم منمو حنجر عطشان منمو داغ جوانان منمو خاک بیابان منمو سم سطوران مظلوم حسین جانم مظلوم حسین جانم مظلوم حسین جانم مظلوم حسین جانم أنا للهادي حبيب وفي الطف غريب وسليب وتريب وعجيب أن أذوق الموت ضامي فمن عني يحامي وشيبي ذا خضيب أو هل يعبد رب الكون فوق الأرض مثلي فأنا المحراب من جاء به السيف يصلي لما يقتل طفلي وتسبى كل أهلي لما يقطع نهري ولما أقتل ضامن وبجنبي ماء نهري مظلوم حسين جانا مظلوم حسين جانا مظلوم حسين جانا مظلوم حسين جانا صلوا على محمد وآل محمد
أحسن یا الله بر خاتم انبیا محمد صلوات Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters, thank you for attendance tonight is devoted for martyrdom of Hazrat Qasim ibn al-Hasan alayhi salam. Thank you for attendance. Obviously, as mentioned, the key word was Ahla min al-Asal, because replying to his uncle that the martyrdom for me is sweeter than the honey. And we have a quotation from Hazrat Abu Ja'far, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, that we're saying, Inna ashab Jadd al-Hussein lam yajidu alam masal hadid. Means that all of them, the companions of Imam, they didn't feel any fear from the swords when they touched their bodies. And including Hazrat Qasim as well, they had a severe appetite for martyrdom. So we repeat, Nahle Hasan Qasim, Nahle Hasan Qasim, Nahle Hasan Qasim. Yeah. Nahle Hasan, Nahle Hasan, Hasan Qasim, Nahle Hasan Qasim, ای بی زر سرباز من قاسم، ای کشته خونین بدن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم. Repeat. نحل حسن قاسم، ای نازنین قرآن پامالم، ای نازنین قرآن پامالم، طاووس سرخ بی پر و بالم، طاووس سرخ بی پر و بالم، برخیز و بنما گریه بر حوالم، برخیز و بنما گریه بر حوالم، این گونه دست و پا نزن قاسم، این گونه دست پا نزن قاسم، نحل حسن. Repeat. قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم. در هجله خون داده شد کامد، در هجله خون داده شد کامد، پر شد ز خون آب جگر جا آمد، پر شد ز خون آب جگر جا آمد، پیراهن خونین برند آمد، پیراهن خونین برند آمد، هم شد زره هم شد کفن قاسم، هم شد زره هم شد کفن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم. شد شانه از تیغ ستم موید، شد شانه از تیغ ستم موید، نقش زمین شد، نقش زمین شد قد جل جوید، نقش زمین شد قد دل جوید، در ابر خون پنهان شده روید، در ابر خون پنهان شده روید، ای ماه خونین پیرهن قاسم، ای ماه پیرهن خون، ای ماه خونین پیرهن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم، نحل حسن قاسم. تو با عمو پیوسته هم دوردی، تو با عمو پیوسته هم دوردی، بر من لب خشکیده آوردی، بر من لب خشکیده آوردی، با اشک خود رفع آتش کردی، با اشک خود رفع آتش کردی، در هر بلایی ممتحن قاسم، در هر بلایی ممتحن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم. تو یادگار مجتبی هستی، تو یادگار مجتبی هستی، قلب مرا از غصه بشکستی، قلب مرا از غصه بشکستی، لب را ز خون آب گلو بستی، لب را ز خون آب گلو بستی، با من نمیگویی سخن قاسم، با من نمیگویی سخن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم، نهل حسن قاسم. صلوات.
جان به تن قاسم من نمانده، واویلا واویلا، جان به تن قاسم من نمانده، تیر عزا بر دل من نشانده، واویلا، جان به تن قاسم من نمانده، تیر عزا بر دل من نشانده، با تن پر ز رد سم اسبان، ایلا واویلا، له شده پیکرد ز من برد جان، له شده پیکرد ز من برد جان، واویلا. تو با دل اهل حرم چه کردی، واویلا، تو با دل اهل حرم چه کردی، وای اگر به خیمه بر نگردی، واویلا، وای اگر به خیمه بر نگردی، جان به تن قاسم من نمانده، واویلا واویلا، جان به تن قاسم من نمانده، تیر عزا بر دل من نشانده، واویلا، تیر عزا بر دل من نشانده. صلوات.
صلی علی محمد و علی محمد. احسن. اجرکم جمیعا عند الله. Before the last dua, just let's recite 5 times آیه مبارکه امن یجیب. اعوذ بالله من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. امن یجیب المضطر اذا دعا و یکشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف 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 السوء. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم بحق محمد وعلي وفاطمة بالحسن والحسين وتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين عليهم السلام وبدم المظلوم وبدماء شهداء كربلاء 10 times يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك واكفنا يا قاضي الحاجات ويا كافي المهمات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلوات. أذان مغرب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر والله أكبر ولله الحمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا أمير المؤمنين وأولاده المعصومين بالحق حجج الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر، واجعلنا اللهم من أتباعه وشيعته والمستشهدين بين يديه وفي زمرته. اللهم هب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره، ما ننال به سعة من رحمتك وفوزا من عندك يا كريم. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات أمواتنا أجمعين نهدي للجميع ثواب سورة الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.